So today we had another weekly Warriors Den live stream, and in it we got to find out all about the mid-season event that's dropping along with some surprise balancing updates to both Vortiger and Jiang Jun. So as usual, I'll be going over everything I found important from the stream, but I want to start with these nerfs. After that I'll move into the update itself, and then I'll talk about how the game feels now. So let's not waste any more time and get right into it. So starting off with the updates that were dropped on us suddenly, the nerfs to both Vortiger and Jang Jun, which were both heavily requested. So let's start off with Vortiger. So they nerfed both his damage in some places and recovery. The damage on his light finisher is now 17 from 20, something that everyone's been asking for, as 20 damage lights are just a little too much. His heavy finisher damage has been reduced to 35 from 40. Not a huge change, but a welcome one. They've increased the recovery of Tenebrous Rising to 500 milliseconds from 300. Just about everyone agreed that he needed some sort of tweak to the recovery after his shield bash. Since it's too early to tell, we don't really know exactly what will be able to punish the bash now, but hopefully we'll be able to punish a Vortiger who only loves to bash. And finally, they've made the full block stance exit animation 400 milliseconds from 200. So overall, it's not a massive nerf to Vortiger, but each of these changes are welcome. I'm surprised that we're seeing some work done on Vortiger in the middle of his release season. Was it enough? Only time will tell, but this is much better than just waiting around until season 10. It's nice that getting hit by any one of his bashes will grant him 17 damage instead of 20. I know it doesn't sound like much, but you'll survive a bit longer, especially if you're only getting hit by zones or bashes. Rather than dying in, say, 6 bashes if you have 120 health, you'll die after 7 and some chip. Now on to Jang Jun. So JJ got some damage nerfs across the board. First, they reduced his top heavy finisher to 38 damage from 45. They've decreased his side heavy finisher damage to 35 from 40. His light finisher damage has been dropped to 18 from 20, and his zone attack damage has been nerfed from 28 damage to 25. Again, these aren't these heavy-handed nerfs that some may have wanted, but you don't really want to ruin the character. We all knew this was coming, we just didn't know it would be so soon. This comes on top of the other changes that we talked about last week. I mean, out of all these changes, the damage nerf to his zone was the one I was looking forward to the most, as I always get hit by it. But the heavy finisher nerfs were warranted as well, as 45 damage for any attack is so much, especially considering how much pressure it puts on you in a gank and even a team fight. And really quickly, Warlord received a buff seemingly out of nowhere. Yubi decided to increase his headbutt and the stab damage from 12 to 15. I don't think anyone was really asking for this, but it's here. I'm guessing it's to try and keep up with Vortiger, I'm not really sure, but 15 damage isn't too bad for some confirmed damage, at least it isn't 20. I really hope that Yubi keeps this up. We've wanted more frequent patches and updates for the longest time now, and it looks like Yubi is speeding it up a bit and working on things the community have been asking for, rather than just hitting us with a few bug fixes and calling it a day. Now onto the rest of the stream. So as most of you know, today is the start of the new event that's going on called Black Prior's Riposte, which is this year's first seasonal event that will try to nullify that mid-season lull that goes on around this time every season. The highlight of this event is the new mode, Battle of Attrition, which I think is pretty fun. This is the first Dominion-like mode where each team has a different objective. The attacking team has to capture the zones, while the defending team has to eliminate enemies. First to 1,000 points win. There are a few changes to this mode from regular Dominion. There are minions on the zone, which is something that has been talked about before but finally put into action, and I sort of like it. Also, the middle zone B is worth 500 points, so there's usually a fight going on there. I like that there are multiple healing points on the map as well, which gives you a reason to move around rather than just sitting on a point. I do have fun with the mode, and I think it will be played for a while. I'm hoping it doesn't die down in favor of regular Dominion while this event is active though. It's all played in the harbor map, which looks really good in this mode, especially with the new minions being thrown in there. I do like this game mode a lot more than the Assassin's Creed crossover event we got not too long ago, which just never really landed with me. There's also the usual event additions like new effects, new weapons, and the new illustrious effect that surprisingly we were sort of right about. So there is in fact some new bird effects for each of the factions, where some sort of bird hovers near your hero or shows up after an execution or remote. Now last week I had guessed that we'd be getting just a crow that would perch on your shoulder or land on an executed enemy, and while I wish that were true, I do like the birds that Yubi has chosen for each faction, especially for the Wulin and Samurai. It is a shame that the birds don't perch on your shoulder though. This does pave the way for more pets though. As I said, a small wolf or bear for the Vikings and a tiger for the Wulin would be nice. I like the illustrious tab a lot more than the mask tab. I was never really a huge fan of the masks for their price, but now that we have more possibilities, I'll gladly throw down 20,000 steel for a pet or something. On top of that, we got some new weapons which all follow this light and dark theme. Something the community's been on Yubi about for a while now has been that all the new weapons are a bit too flashy or unrealistic with how much gold and whatnot the weapons had. And finally, Yubi goes for something a bit less glamorous with these designs, and I like them. I think Yubi always does a good job with the new weapons, and I really like the engravings, etchings, and markings on all of these weapons this time around, especially Aramusha's. I'm still patiently waiting for some armor sets to come with the seasonal events though. Don't get me wrong, I like new weapons, but I'll take any opportunity to get some new armor in this game, as I think some dark themed armor would be great. The new effect is pretty cool, along with the new emote. It all fits this whole dark theme they've got going on with the Black Priors. I wouldn't be surprised if this is something we see going forward for every new season. Now that Yubi is getting a bit more serious with the lore, I expect we'll see character specific events going forward through the rest of the year, and if so, I can't wait to see the next one. The Samurai Axe Heavy is next, and I'm a fan of the entire Samurai faction, so I think the next one will be really cool depending on how the hero is written. I do think the Warhammer Viking will still have the best event though, if we're going to be following this trend. Now, after playing for a bit, the most noticeable thing for me was that revenge gain removal in 1v1. Now at first I wasn't even thinking about it, I was just playing as usual and only started to notice it after I realized I wasn't popping revenge as often, especially when someone joined a fight, and I do really like the change. It's made the little 1v1s you have across the map more interesting, and you don't have to worry about beating someone down to like 10 HP and then having them pop revenge for losing. It allows you to actually fight without worrying. One thing I did notice though is how it works while being ganked. So whenever I play fours, I usually end up playing against people that love to take you out of the fight. So there's usually a raider, a lawbringer, or a warlord just looming outside of a fight. And whenever I would be in a 1v2, I would build revenge until they locked in and attacked me. For example, I would be fighting, say, a Highlander and a raider. While I was locked in and fighting the Highlander, the raider would just loom not too far, unlock sprinting around to try and charge me. So every time I blocked or parried something from the Highlander, I wouldn't be earning revenge for it. I'm assuming it's because technically the raider wasn't locked onto me, and I mean, I considered that to be a 1v2, you know, since the raider is going to stampede charge me when the Highlander goes for a guard break, but the game doesn't. That's the only problem I have with it right now though, and it happened to me in every game I played today, which is a bit annoying, but I mean, that's just for honor. If I get grabbed and have control stripped away from me, odds are I wasn't going to make it out of that fight alive anyways, with revenge or not. Now, when I was being ganked by multiple opponents, it did feel like I was getting revenge slightly faster, but it wasn't anything too crazy. Also, when an enemy joins the fight, you're in more danger than before, since you have absolutely no revenge built up from when you were having a 1v1. So if you were having a good fight with someone, all it will take is a well-timed bash or grab to finish the fight, whereas before you could have had revenge shortly after the third party arrived. Overall, I think it's a good change. I'll have to play a bit more to see how it feels in like 1v4 ganks, but from what I've played, it's a good change other than that one thing. Now, from using Vortiger after this patch has gone live, I can't tell you that too much has changed. At least, it doesn't really feel like much has changed in the couple of hours I played him anyways. No one except for Raider is punishing the bash consistently after dodging it, and when I'm going against another Vortiger, I'm not able to guard break him consistently after dodging the bash, unless of course I dodge it on prediction. Maybe I'm just slow. There will have to be some testing to see if we can punish it with a guard break or not. I'm not sure if we'll be able to. I don't even really notice the changes to the damage either, since they weren't too massive. I haven't fought against a sliding shinobi yet, so I can't tell you how much easier it is to dodge either. And finally, I think the ballista has been nerfed on Sentinel so that it won't one-shot you anymore. Instead, it'll do like 60 damage, which is again a very welcome change. Although I probably get killed by friendly fire more than anything else from that thing. Other than that, this was Eric Pope's final show in the Warriors Den, and I wish him luck on whatever project he's working on next. And there's also going to be a documentary going up on Netflix called Playing Hard about the creation of For Honor. So if you're interested in watching that, it will be available on March 20th. Anyways, that's all I've got for this video. This event will be around for a while, so you've got some time to unlock everything and save up steel to buy the birds. I'm really hoping that we'll get more animals in this game. I do like this patch, it's one of the better ones, and the fight updates were just a nice addition to the package. I think Ubi's been on a roll recently. While everything they've done isn't perfect by any means, we're seeing progress. Honestly, Ubisoft as a whole has been doing pretty well in my opinion. I'm actually shocked that the Division launched in a great state. Anyways, I do think that this is the last update we'll get until the end of next month, as we're gearing up for the Samrak season. If we're lucky, we may see another small live update like we got today to address a few more issues. I do want to hear from you guys though, so talk to me down in the comments about anything we talked about in this video. And as usual, if you agree with me or just like the video, feel free to like the video, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.